People possess the same physical organs for sensing the world. We have eyes for seeing, ears for hearing, noses for smelling. But does everyone really sense the world in exactly the same way? Two linguists, Edward Sapir and Benjamin Whorf, didn't think so. Sapir and Whorf believed that people's perception of the world depends very much on the language they speak. It's called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. They believed that language is essentially like a pair of eyeglasses. It influences the way which we see the world. Think about the bands of a rainbow. How many colors do you see? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. I see 6 colors. Is that all of them? Do you see any others? In many cultures, speakers of different languages might tell you there are more than 6 colors, or they might tell you there are less. Two linguists went to Mexico to investigate this perception of color, comparing the difference between English speakers and the indigenous Tarahumara people in Mexico. The Tarahumara use one word for the 2 words English uses for blue and green. They label blue and green as one color. If you give English speakers blue and green chips, they are more likely to separate the 2 colors. To separate them. The Tarahumara will push them together because they perceive them as very similar. So the Tarahumara would say that green and blue are not 2 separate colors of the rainbow, but rather one and the same. In fact, rainbows are actually a continuum of color. There are no actual stripes or bands, yet people see the bands for which their language has color words. Another famous example demonstrates how language can be a reflection of concepts important to a particular culture. Americans and the British use only a few terms to describe